At noon on October 27, 2017, about 24 residents of Hamilton, Ontario, gathered in a grocery store parking lot, assembled props and costumes, and got into cars for a drive out into the country.
All right, so tell folks what you're dressed as today.
I am a truffle tree. It's in the book The Lorax by Dr. Seuss.
And tell me what you're doing out here today.
We are protesting the expansion of the Enbridge Line 10 pipeline through Hamilton. It's an export pipeline, and it's going to be taking tar sands from Alberta.
In the classic Dr. Seuss book, The Lorax, a character named the Onceler, you'll see him sporting a bushy grey beard, despoils nature by cutting down all of the truffula trees so he can make money. While the Lorax, and you'll recognize him by his generous yellow mustache, he speaks for the trees.
What we're doing here today is reading the Lorax, the entire story, to Enbridge employees, because what they're engaged in here is exactly what the Lorax is writing against, exactly what Dr. Seuss was opposed to, and the story that he put together. At the far end of town, where the oil pipeline flows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax.
At the far end of town, where the oil pipeline flows.
You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum, on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, gold under the roof.
Those trees, those truffula trees.
All my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tops was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do and unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop that I chopped down a truffula tree with one shot.
I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees.
I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone and put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich.
Business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know.
I meant no harm. I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of the needs I shipped out. I was shipping them forth, to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs.
And talk a little bit about the project that we're here to oppose.
The project is called the Line 10 Enbridge Expansion Project. It is replacing 35 kilometers of 12-inch oil pipeline with 20-inch pipeline. This is a segment of a longer pipeline that runs from Hamilton, Westover Station, to Seneca, New York. It's an export pipeline for heavy crude, including bitumen from the tar sands of Alberta. And Enbridge is expanding it in pieces because if you expand less than 40 kilometers at a time, then you're automatically exempted from a federal environmental assessment, and you can even be exempted from a National Energy Board hearing. This project will kill trees, no doubt, in direct ways, because it's a large project that requires a big right-of-way. Altogether, 165 hectares of land being cleared, and in addition, of course, the oil that's going through it is both contaminated water before it has even gotten into the pipeline in the extraction and refining process that takes place in Alberta, and then does the same when it is burned at the other end and contaminates the atmosphere, accelerates climate change, making the situation for everyone on the planet worse.
After the reading, many of the participants crossed the property line and onto the construction site to show their opposition to what's happening. In the book, the Onceler destroys nature, cuts the last tree, but the message is that this is the case unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.
And what would you say to other residents of Hamilton in terms of what we should all be doing to oppose this project from this point forward?
Well, I think the Lorax makes it very clear that if no one does anything and no one cares an awful lot, then it's not going to get any better. It's not. So we need to be engaged, not only in opposition to this project, but in opposition to all new fossil fuel infrastructure. Fossil fuels are making the climate crisis worse. So any increase in the extraction, transportation, or use of fossil fuels is crazy. When you find yourself in a hole, the first rule is to stop digging. And that's the minimum thing that we can demand of this project, that it is outrageous that a company is expanding its capacity to move fossil fuels at a time when everyone knows that this is a project to fry the planet. And the business plan of companies like Enbridge effectively is a business plan to fry the planet.
To learn more about the struggle against Line 10 in Hamilton, go to facebook.com/Hamilton350 or send an email to info@hamilton350.org.